trucking companies losing out with delays. Bougainvillean leader calls for respect. And ANZ Bank launches Visa debit card.
This is National EMTV News with Lorraine Gabina.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Thursday's news. A prominent member of the Road Transport Association says government agencies responsible for resolving landowner-related roadblocks along the Highlands Highway need to act swiftly in order to reduce losses to trucking companies. Mapai Transport released a statement today following a 2-week shutdown of a road section leading to the Porgera mine in Enga. While the road has been reopened, the collective losses impacted both on trucking companies and the Porgera mine.
The bulk of Mapai Transport's operations are from Lae into the Highlands region. Over the last 2 weeks, a roadblock by landowners near the Porgera mine caused significant losses to the company. The company representative, Alan Sacco, who spoke on behalf of the owner, Jacob Luke, wouldn't put a figure on how much the company had lost, but said as an association of truckers, the losses would be difficult to recover.
So if you look at the amount of damage that's been done to the business community and the trucking industry, it's really beyond imagination. Companies have lost big time in terms of money and in terms of their commitment to their clients, because most of our clients that are based in the Highlands, they rely heavily on trucks.
The Road Transport Association is made up of several important members, and any blockage along the Highlands Highway, their main area of operation, always has a significant impact on their operations, their profits, and their ability to pay staff salaries. Trucking in the highlands of Papua New Guinea is hazardous in many instances. When crime rates increase, profits are affected. Delays due to roadblocks are among the biggest risks to the companies.
All the cargo destined for Porgera mine were offloaded up in Mount Hagen, and you can imagine that's a gold mine.
As part of the association, Mapai has called on government representatives to resolve landowner issues as they arise so that losses are prevented. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lae.
A community leader of Central Bougainville has called on the national government of Papua New Guinea to respect the Bougainville Peace Agreement. This comment comes as the autonomous region of Bougainville commemorates 15 years since the signing of the Bougainville Peace Agreement in 2001. Our journalist Fabian Hakalitz gives us an insight into how important the Bougainville Peace Agreement has been over the last 15 years.
Thomas Coronaro, 85 years of age, and a paramount chief from Kit's Central Bougainville, is well versed with Bougainville's history. As a peace advocate, he describes the signing of the Bougainville Peace Agreement as a miracle.
This commemoration day and the 15th anniversary of the signing of peace agreement is a miracle for me when I still alive, because I work for that peace.
Central Bougainville women representative in the Bougainville House of Representatives, Marceline Kokiai, says the Bougainville Peace Agreement is all about good governance.
It's about love. It's about forgiveness. That's what good governance is. Then and only then we can join hands and march through referendum. That's how I see it as a political leader. It's about putting families together.
The Bougainville Peace Agreement was signed in Arawa on August 30, 2011 to end the bloody civil war on the island. Since then, the national government has been criticized for failing to honor this agreement in terms of the much talked about grants. But have the pillars of the Bougainville Peace Agreement that will determine its future political status been achieved? Autonomous Bougainville Government President Chief John Momis is one of the few who have always been vocal on this issue, which he claims is in breach of the Bougainville Peace Agreement. According to President Momis, the national government owes Bougainville over 800 million kina in total revenue since 2005.
Specifically requires the national government to give the Restoration Development Grant to the ABG, which is the only unconditional grant that we are entitled to, and that we get very little of it. The recurrent grant.
Chief Momis says the national government was not faithful enough as a party to the Bougainville Peace Agreement.
Demonstrate that the national government is really not committed to the peace agreement.
Although little has been achieved, the Bougainville Peace Agreement is what will allow Bougainville its referendum. The Bougainville Peace Agreement's outcome will be mutually accepted if there is a good collaboration between parties signatory to this agreement. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
The Mekamui, or the representative group of the Panguna people, says it wants to work with the autonomous Bougainville government to realize the region's future ambitions. Speaking exclusively to EMTV News in Buka, they said it was not the right time for any discussion on the Panguna mine, as it was a matter for all Bougainvilleans who suffered during the conflict. They said they do not want to see another civil war on the island and are calling on the national government to respect the ABG as the legitimate government on the ground. Mekamui President Philip Miriori says that they have made resolutions with the ABG which the national governments must respect, and not to directly transfer these shares to them and their landowners, but through the ABG. Number One Super has recorded a net profit after tax of 193 million kina for the first half of this year. This was announced yesterday by Chairman of Number One Super, Anthony Smare. He said the half-year gross revenue until June this year stands at 272 million kina.
Mr. Smare said while the country is facing tough economy times, Number One Super has made a phenomenal achievement, and this is a testament of the company's prudent and cautious stewardship of members' funds.
So we're delighted. I hope the members are delighted with this result, and it again illustrates that the best place to put your money in this country is with Number One Super.
Mr. Smare said the half-year result compares favorably to 2015's full-year net profit result of 280 million kina after tax. NSL 2016 half-year results have increased by 6%, with total member funds from 5.2 billion kina to 5.5 billion kina. While this is good news for NSL members, they expressed disappointment after learning that the government owes NSL. Mr. Smare said up until December 1st of last year, the fund paid out on behalf of the government 138 million kina, which is the debt that the state owed to the fund after the fund paid out its members. The state has paid 75 million kina of that amount.
5 million kina, we received a 25 million kina check yesterday. So we're very grateful to the government for making those payments. So of the 138 million that was owed up until the 1st of December 2015, the state owes us 62 million kina plus interest. Now that does not include, since the 1st of December.
Mr. Smare confirmed that they are in dialogue with the government to find a resolution. Merlin Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
The Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister, Tobias Kulang, said the provincial tourism authorities will be tasked to improve their performances in a collaborative approach. Lack of proper coordination between the people and the tourism-associated parties may affect PNG's tourism industry in the coming years. Mr. Kulang said local people in the villages are the reasons why PNG tourism industry exists, yet they haven't been given the recognition they deserve.
The provincial tourism authorities will be tasked to look into various sectors that have remained largely untapped over the years. One such is the rural tourism, which has for the most part kept the PNG tourism industry alive when there wasn't any tourism governing body.
The provincial governments are not engaging the private sector, who are now, who are now leading the charge in ensuring that this industry is surviving.
Yesterday, during the launching of the APEC tourism meeting in Kokopo, the Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister, Tobias Kulang, told the international APEC delegates that PNG has recognized tourism as an engine for economic growth and prosperity. The tourism minister later told the media that the government is on the path to make that happen.
I think it is about time provincial government needs to understand the value that tourism can promote to the economy of the different provinces in terms of employment, real cash injection to cash economy to our small people, and provincial governments need to engage. I am really disappointed and dismayed as I go around to all the provinces in the country, the revelation that provincial governments have no interest whatsoever in this industry. Most of the, almost 95% of the tourism bureaus in the province are closed, non-existent. There are officers paid, but they're not maintaining offices.
Meanwhile, Alotau and East New Britain have been put under the government spotlight as tourism hotspot. Minister Kulang said the two provinces will be the hive of tourism activities. In East New Britain, new figures gathered by the Provincial Tourism Authority have given a positive outlook on the tourism industry. An estimated 7,000 foreign tourists visited the province on cruise ships last year alone.
At the moment, I can confidently say that we cannot accommodate for 2,000 visitors.
The APEC tourism meeting in Kokopo this week is expected to acquire new strategies on how to push the level of tourism industry in the country to a new level. The whole idea is that tourism is something that the people have to do every day, and it shouldn't be something that just happened when a tourist shows up. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Among stories after the break, ANZ Bank launches the Visa debit card. Welcome back to National EMTV News. ANZ customers in Papua New Guinea can now own Visa debit cards. The launch of the card in Port Moresby this afternoon was attended by Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare, who has been an ANZ customer for over 30 years.
To be issued the new ANZ product. The others include Bank of PNG CEO Loy Bakani, NU Guinea's Chairman Sir Frederick Raiha, and ANZ CEO Mark Baker. Baker said the key feature of the card is added security.
The difference with this card to any card that's currently in circulation in Papua New Guinea is this chip here. This is what we call an EMV chip, and this actually provides much greater security than you'd normally have just with the magnetic strip on the back of the card. This is the first card in PNG to have this kind of technology, and it really helps in terms of preventing fraud. And we see more and more that fraud is, an electronic fraud, is something which globally is an issue.
Baker said the card is an international access card which will be accepted online, over the phone, overseas and in shops. ANZ customers can now register for their Visa debit card at their nearest branches. Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
The volcanic town of Rabaul is gearing up for at least 3 days of festivity that will start on the Independence Eve. The festival will include the joint celebration of PNG's 42nd independence and the 22nd anniversary of the twin volcanic eruption of Tavurvur and Valkyan. The festival will include the Kinevai dances, canoe race and vehicle float around Rabaul town. The festival is a community event and has over the years been made a success through community participation. The organizing committee, Susie McGrade, says the event would not have been possible without the generosity of business houses in Rabaul, some of which have rebuilt from the ashes since the twin eruption in 1994. The event is one of the biggest in the province and is expected to attract people from all over East New Britain. Papua New Guineans are not fully aware of education opportunities to attain higher degrees. Education Pacific Agencies provides that avenue for students to obtain scholarships to study in China and Europe. So far, they have more than 90 undergraduates and postgraduate students.
Director and founder of the Education Pacific Agency, Jeffers Tiagon Aptol, wants to see Papua New Guineans holding philosophical doctorates before reaching 40. Aptol, who's in his early 30s, is currently doing his PhD in mechatronics engineering at a university in China. The Angan intellectual is empowering Papua New Guineans to make use of any available opportunity to pursue their education to a higher level.
We encourage students to be innovative, be creative, and be entrepreneurial. Even while they are still students, they can come up with something. They can come up with even how to extract the Sego starch with foldable machine so that it will make work more efficient and effective.
Aptol started Education Pacific in 2007 to assist Pacific Island students and their sponsors to receive scholarships from scholars to go study in China. Many of them have already graduated and are working here and abroad. His motive is to provide an alternative for students to have their dreams realized through education and for the educated to live an improved life in order to alleviate poverty.
Every child has the right to access education, and that is what I believe. So because of that, I came up with Education Pacific Agency, and I've been facilitating students to study in China.
One of the scholarship recipients is Samson Kandata. He is currently in PNG doing his research in small and medium enterprise. Kandata is doing his master's in business management.
Foreign governments are providing scholarships, and all over the country students are applying for the scholarships, and the space is limited. That's one disadvantage we have, and since more students are applying and space is limited and limited students are given scholarships. While EPA, we deal direct with the universities, and that's an advantage.
Organizations that are currently working along with EPA are Octedi Mining Limited, Works Department, and the PNG Baptist Church. Vasenata Yama, National EMTV News.
The high rate of unemployment and school leavers can be alleviated with more investment in elementary education. Yanguru Sausia MP and Minister for Trade, Commerce and Industry, Richard Maru, made the comments yesterday at the opening of an elementary school classroom in his district. He also challenged parents to be proactive in their children's learning.
Since the Kukawi Ambokon Elementary School was registered in 2010, the children have been learning in these aging classrooms built from traditional material. However, today was a day worth celebrating with the opening of a modern-built double classroom. Yanguru Sausia District Elementary Coordinator David Nangusi said elementary education sector has been suffering in the last 20 years.
Thanking people lo use sweat blah blah money lo pocket blah blah lo work in classroom motor classroom or push material classroom it coming up now. Thank you, Minister lo look sawi blow you.
The new classroom was built at a total cost of 20,000 kina.
Me one bell, me must talk out. Such a building lo kind money was 20,000. I have not seen it in our district. So Lord, looks away. Next lot of money come by me give him that 20,000 he will ask him.
Minister Maru again drove home the message of quality education. He reverted to the 2015 statistics that of the 25,000 grade 12 students who sat for exams, only 5,000 made it to universities or colleges. He urged parents of Yanguru Sausia District to take their children's future seriously by sending them to school.
Last year, 25,500 students were working grade 12 of Papua New Guinea. 5,000 will go to uni, go to colleges. 18,000 will come back to place. That's why, to make sure our kids are very sharp, you must invest in elementary school.
Minister Maru opened the classroom and challenged the school's board to lay down strict rules like only permitting the English language to be spoken on the school grounds.
The school's board chairman, Samuel Meningjambi, also appealed for a teacher's house to be built as well as fencing around the school premises. Reporting from the Yanguru district in the East Sepik province, Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
With the 2017 general elections around the corner, a service provider is concerned about outstanding payments for services rendered in 2012. David Akipa, a service provider in Hela province, said the Electoral Commission must outline policies to guarantee payments to service providers. He warned service providers around PNG to be mindful before striking any deal with the Electoral Commission.
There's no proper policy in place to safeguard their funds and their policies. Our Electoral Commissioner and his deputy has to do something and press the government to release the money. Get rid of these outstanding claims for service providers.
Anita Haja Tabua was the oldest Hela United Church parishioner to participate in the Church 7th Women's Convention in Kerema. She has been in this ministry for almost her entire life. MTV News journalist Eric Harupma spoke to Anita yesterday in Port Moresby.
85-year-old Anita hails from Oyebia village in Tari, Ela province. She has a family of 3 generations, 5 children, 20 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. She is one of several other church members who will be participating in the church's National Women's Convention scheduled to convene on Sunday in Miaru village, Kerema Gulf province. Her first contact with missionaries dates back to the period before the Second World War when the United Church missionaries arrived in the village. Having grown up in a remote village, education is a great challenge for her, and for this reason, Esther Mavilare had help in the translation. The arrival of missionaries brought with them a new way of life to the people who had previously been in isolation.
All Mr. Temimol. It was all wild, yeah. Temimol good, give him all roti, all the flour, all tasting. Good plan now, all comes in down one time, kaika one time.
The missionaries used salt, biscuits and oil to bring the villagers together, and this helped bring Anita closer to them. She had helped so much in healthcare services like disposing the waste of leprosy patients with the bare hands. A close association with the missionaries in healthcare service delivery has been a blessing and a tireless contribution she gave in the village. Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3155 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3080, $0.4065 Australian dollars, $0.2730 euro and 31.43 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and cocoa closed higher while copper closed the day lower. Palm oil and copper closed lower while crude oil closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 53.42 points lower. The ASX is trading at 15.03 points lower and the All Ordinaries is trading at 16.01 points lower. Still to come in the news, police catch fraudsters in Leh, new deadly heroin in the United States, and the U.S. presidential election. Stay with us. Welcome back. Leh police have caught 3 alleged fraudsters who have been forging company checks to withdraw large sums of money from banks. The suspects were apprehended at various locations in the city following an operation that tracked them down. They were also using fraudulent checks to make purchases in shops.
Police say the suspects, identified as Mark Pamundi, Wesley Joe Hamago, and Sidney Robert, had been carrying out the illegal activity for more than 5 years. They used company checks to order large quantities of goods from wholesalers and stationery shops. They were also withdrawing money from banks without the company management's knowledge.
They've been doing checks with pay cash, going into banks and withdrawing large amounts of money.
2 of the 3 suspects are unemployed, whilst one is an accounts receivable clerk for a major supermarket. Police have charged 2 of the suspects on 2 counts of fraud on various occasions. They have been granted bail by Lay District Court. Another suspect, Sydney Robert, had been arrested on 5 counts, including more than 400,000 kina of a major food processing company. The suspect, Sydney Robert, is also wanted by Goroka Police for similar offence. He is currently held at Buimo Correctional Service. The Lay Metropolitan Commander Chief Superintendent Anthony Wagambi said there are associations like this who commit crimes against unsuspecting companies and individuals. Wagambi commended his investigators for apprehending them. Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Lay.
Authorities in the U.S. state of Ohio are warning of a deadly new addictive to heroin. They say drug dealers are using it to stretch their supply, and the impact has been lethal.
Terrified. It terrifies me.
A recent spike in heroin overdoses, nearly 100 in the last week alone, have Lori Arion fearing for her daughter's life.
I would love to get high. I would. You know, I'm a drug addict. That's what I do best.
April is 22 years old, and she's been using heroin for the last 6 years. In those years, she says she's lost about a dozen friends.
Overdose. I just had one of my friends die, I think, yesterday morning, and she left 4 kids behind.
Officials suspect a batch of heroin laced with elephant tranquilizers is to blame for the latest string of overdoses. But April says that's not enough to scare away regular users.
When you are addicted to heroin, when you're using, you don't care about dying. You're just chasing the next high. And for a lot of people, hearing that there is a souped up strain of dope on the streets, that's actually appealing.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Because you stop getting high. That's why they call it chasing it, because you stop getting high. You're staying well, you're staying not sick. So when you hear that somebody is overdosed, or you hear about these crazy new drugs, you know, you're thinking like, well, all right, it's about time. I'm trying to get high. I mean, that's all you've been trying to do.
So that means that with this new strain of heroin that's cut with an elephant tranquilizer.
I am very sure that there are heroin addicts who are actively looking for it and thinking that the people that are dying are doing it wrong. They're doing too much. They're not, you know what I mean? They're just thinking that they're gonna find a way to get really high and not die.
Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton criticized rival Donald Trump's Mexican trip, where he met President Enrique Peña Nieto. Clinton told the American Legion National Convention that getting countries to work together is more than a photo op. Trump's visit to Mexico City took place just hours before he was due to deliver a highly anticipated speech in the border state of Arizona on how he would tackle illegal immigration if he wins the November 8 election. True to Trump's flair for the dramatic, the trip south of the border guaranteed news coverage for the New York businessman and former reality TV star. But it also took him to a country where he is widely disliked because of his harsh comments that he has made during his White House campaign. The meeting, which Trump and his advisors began considering after an invitation from Peña Nieto last week, is Trump's first official interaction with a foreign leader since he began his presidential campaign more than a year ago, stirring up frequent controversy both at home and abroad. A source close to the Trump campaign said he expects the candidate might apologize in Mexico for some of his rhetoric, but says that illegal immigration has to stop. The Trump campaign has held talks in recent months about a possible meeting with the governor of the Mexican border state of Sonora, but that encounter has not taken place, the source said. Trump trails Democratic rival Hillary Clinton in most opinion polls nationally and in most battleground states, with 10 weeks to go until the election.
Getting countries working together was my job every day as your Secretary of State. It's more than a photo op. It takes consistency and reliability. Actually, it's just like building personal relationships. People have to get to know that they can count on you, that you won't say one thing one day and something totally different the next. And it certainly takes more than trying to make up for a year of insults and insinuations by dropping in on our neighbors for a few hours and then flying home again. That is not how it works.
Trukai Sports is next. I'll be back with the details.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. To football, the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup Winners' Trophy was officially unveiled in a small ceremony at the Stanley Hotel in Port Moresby. Minister for Sports Justin Tachenko was joined by OFC President David Chung and FIFA Head of Women's Football Tatiana Hayeni. Jeremy Mogi reports.
The 16 teams that will arrive in November will be competing for the coveted title of champions of the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup Papua New Guinea 2016, as well as the prestigious trophy that goes with the title. The trophy is special for the country because it has FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup Papua New Guinea 2016 engraved on a small metal plate on the trophy, and that will be kept by the tournament's winner and be displayed in their country for many years to come. In a ceremony this afternoon, the reveal of the foot-high silver trophy was witnessed by a delegation from FIFA headquarters, as well as OFC President David Chung.
When I first bid for the World Cup, a lot of people say, why Papua New Guinea? You know, with all sorts of crime problems, all sorts of law and orders, you know, and whether they have adequate facilities or not, now they're here to watch firsthand what we have. And so far, everybody's impressed, happy, you know, and they are also happy to see new things, you know, that I've never seen before.
An excited Minister for Sport, Justin Tachenko, reiterating the magnitude of the event.
It really, Papua New Guinea and especially Port Moresby is really becoming a sporting arena where all different sporting codes are holding their semi-finals, their finals, their grand finals, their tournaments. And it really is embracing sports in a massive way here in Papua New Guinea.
Head of Women's Football, Tatiana Hayeni, says the Women's Under-20 World Cup is more than just a tournament.
Really important for the development of a player, to gain experience, to play on the highest level possible, to compete with other teams, and also to learn the values of football, which is losing and winning, it's fair play, respect for opponents. And I do think that young players, male or female, it's a really important asset for them to, on their way to become adults, to get this experience.
The trophy will be presented to the winner of the World Cup on December the 3rd. Jeremy Mogi, National, EMTV Sports.
The PNG Women's Under-20 national team is currently doing a college tour in preparation for the World Cup. The tour will see the team play 7 stateside matches in preparation of hosting the Under-20 World Cup in November.
With the looming Under-20 Women's World Cup, Coach Lisa Cole is on a mission to see her side get as much playing time as possible and, more importantly, gain valuable experience against quality opponents before November. The US College Tour is ramping up to be just what the side needs, facing off against St. Francis for an exhibition match on Tuesday and defeated Lockhaven 2-1, but lost to a strong Bucknell side 5-0 before holding off Bloomsburg to a 1-1 draw. In their last recent match against St. Francis, PNG striker Ramona Padio scored twice in for Papua New Guinea, with some great individual effort in the 75th minute. The striker worked to find space and fired a left-footed shot inside the near post to tie the match at 2. But a late goal by Sarah Sule in extra time gave Red Flash a 3-2 victory over Papua New Guinea. PNG's playing college program as a tune-up for hosting the Under-20 Women's World Cup in November. On trip, PNG has played Seattle Pacific, Lockhaven, Bucknell and Bloomsburg, and they will play Georgetown this weekend heading home. Shane Soroya, National EMTV Sports.
The 7th BSP PNG Games Host Organizing Committee, or HOC, have all the reason to be thankful today after receiving a sponsorship package valued at 250,000 kina from SP Brewery. SP Brewery's Managing Director Stan Joyce said the company was excited to be part of the biggest local sporting event in the country with participation from 22 provinces. In receiving the check, West New Britain Governor Sir Sindran Muthuvel thanked SP Brewery for their timely support. Governor Muthuvel confirmed that over 20 million kina has been used to build additional classrooms and dormitories in major schools in the 4 LLGs in the province. The 7th BSP PNG Games will be held from the 24th of November to the 10th of December in West New Britain. In cricket, the national women's team, the CPL PNG Lewas, were encouraged today to push themselves to their limits by the 4 visiting cricket legends, Australia's Lisa Stalker, Jeff Lawson and Jeffrey Marsh, and New Zealand Chris Martin. With less than 5 months from the World Cup qualifiers, former Australian cricketer Lisa Stalker said it is going to take dedication, commitment and respect to successfully bring their team together to bigger competitions.
Taking on bigger, better competitions like Bangladesh, Scotland and Sri Lanka won't be an easy task for the Lewas, and Stalker says they have to start doing training outside of their comfort zones. She had the opportunity to watch Lewas in action last year in Australia and was pleased with the improvements in the team's game. However, she still believes they can do better to play world standard cricket.
Trying to make sure that training is harder than you're playing. Than actual playing, so you put yourself under more stress. For instance, because Ravini bowls quick, so when she's bowling, instead of batting in your normal stance, why don't you come out a few steps? So all of a sudden the ball comes a bit quicker. You're uncomfortable, but then you get used to that pace. And then
sharing the sentiments was former New Zealand cricketer Chris Martin, who said endurance is also another key area the Lewas need to work on. Meanwhile, the legends will take part in a 20-over cricket match tomorrow with the Lewas at Amini Park. The event not only showcases the sport of cricket to the general public, but also supports the main message of this bash, don't drink and drive, as well as the coalition for change to stop violence. The Legends Day 1 proved fruitful as school students also had a chance to have drill sessions with them as part of Cricket PNG's Cricket Blongolgata development program. Diniro Straiko, National EMTV Sports.
Don't go away. Trukai Sports continues after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back. The Huon Volleyball Association in Lae is preparing for a big season ahead as it prepares for upcoming competitions. The 25-year-old association with over 200 members is gearing up with a strong set of teams for the 2016 Junior and Open Championships in Port Moresby. The competition has drawn strong support from long-standing sponsors Prima.
Prima is sponsoring the squads to the National Championship, the Open and the Juniors for sponsorship worth 20,000 kina, and that's comprising 2 under-21 teams, men, women, and 2 Open teams, men and women. We're looking forward to the championships.
We're also sending a team over to Mosi for the championships. That's probably in a couple of weeks' time.
Minister for Sports Justin Tachanko says he will not make any apologies over his statements on the actions of Hagen Eagles management and supporters. He made the statement after witnessing footage of the on-field violence in Saturday's Digicel Cup match between the Rabaul Gurias and Hagen Eagles in Port Moresby. The minister says there is no place for violence in sport.
A very unfortunate situation happened between the Hagen Eagles and the Gurias. The actions of the officials from the Hagen Eagles and the supporters was totally uncalled for and a total disgrace. and I apologise to any Western Highlander that feels that I've offended them from the statements that I have made for calling the actions of the officials and some of the supporters primitive and uneducated, but they were. And we can't tolerate violence in sport at all.
Kumul's captain and Titans winger David Mead has decided that after 145 games in the top grade, it is time to move on. The Gold Coast all-time leading try scorer is starting to come to terms with the fact that he may have to continue his career elsewhere in 2017.
Through a big hole, the Gold Coast fullback David Mead.
The Titans winger is off contract at the end of this season and may consider re-signing with other NRL clubs for 2017. Other interested clubs in the NRL have indicated their interest. Manly and Newcastle are keen on acquiring Mead's services, but his situation has been somewhat complicated with his separation from his previous manager.
The corner, it's a good opening set that is just let down by a bounce of the ball late.
In round 19, Mead produced some outstanding individual performances at fullback after returning from a knee injury, but was the man to miss out when Gerard Hayne shifted back to fullback last week against the Panthers. Meanwhile, coach Neil Henry has again preferred countryman Danny McDonald and Anthony Don over Mead on the wings for all-time important clash with the Cowboys on Saturday night. However, Mead has scored 65 tries in his 145 NRL appearances and is the joint record holder for most tries in a season, with 16 in 2011. And as for a highlight from his 9 years at the club, the speedster said the prospects of winning a premiership and consideration for what is best for his young family will be the determining factors in where he decides to play in 2017. Shane Soroya, National EMTV Sports.
Humboldt Rabbitohs and Prime Minister's 13 skipper Greg Inglis says he isn't skeptical about the controversial talk of England coach Wayne Bennett recruiting Australian players for the end of the year Four Nations tournament. There have been reports suggesting Bennett may try and lure England eligible NRL players like Brett and Josh Morris and Knights half Trent Hodgkinson. However, Inglis said that what Wayne is doing is great for International League. Meanwhile, Inglis himself will have a busy post-season with his partner Sally expecting a baby in between Inglis's Prime Minister's 13 captaincy debut in Port Moresby on September 24 and a Four Nations pre-tournament test in Perth on October 15. That ends Trukai Sports. We'll have the weather details for the next 24 hours when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region, fine in Port Moresby and Popondetta, and fine although cloudy in Daru, Kerema and Alotau. In the Momase region, few showers in Lae, some showers with rain and thunderstorms in Medang, and showers and rain in Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands, thundery showers in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul and Buka, and few showers in Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, all centres are expecting cloudy periods with a shower or two, then morning fog developing. Forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours, a strong wind warning currents for all coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, to Kerema, to Yule Island, to Hood Point, to Samarai Island, all Milne Bay Islands, to Cape Vogel, to Finchafen through Vitiaz Strait, CIC Islands to Long Island, to Karkar, including West New Britain and Bougainville. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, to Kerema, to Yule Island, to Hood Point, to Samarai Island, seas 2.5 to 3 meters. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands with waters of Finchafin through Vitia Strait, CSC Islands to Long Island to Karkar Island, and with waters of West New Britain and Bougainville seas 2 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Samarai Island to Cape Vogel to Finchafin seas 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of west of Medang to Bogia to Wewak to Aitape to Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, and with waters of Manus and its western group of islands seas 1 to 2 meters. Waters of New Island and East New Britain seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. For PNG areas in the Coral Sea, seas rather rough to rough with southeast winds at 25 to 34 knots. In the Solomon Seas, seas moderate to rather rough with southeast winds at 20 to 25 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas moderate to rather rough with southeast winds at 20 to 25 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight with east to southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And now recapping our main stories for tonight. Trucking company losing out with delays. Bougainvillean leader calls for respect, and ANZ launches Visa debit card. And that's the news, sports and weather for tonight. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Lorraine Gabina. Pleasant viewing. Good night.